Guys, welcome. This is the continuation of our very first hair growth and hair health series. Next item to discuss with keeping your hair healthy, brushing. I talked in part 1 about the importance of never ever brushing your hair when it is wet, but the kind of hairbrush that you use can also be a factor in hair breakage. Brushes like these with the bristles very close together and these little balls on the tips make it very easy for the brush to snag on any tangles and break your hair. This one is a little better because the bristles are smooth, but if you see, they are still close together. So for detangling anyway, this is probably not the best choice. If you're going to smooth your hair, maybe, but for detangling, again, not the best choice. For detangling the hair, you want a hair pick or a wide tooth comb. I've had this for ages, so I have no idea why it has a pink bunny on it, but it has a pink bunny on it. As you can see, not only are the teeth very smooth, but they're also spaced far apart, which makes it less prone to snag on any tangles in your hair, and it's easier to work through them, and it's a lot gentler on your hair. Now for hair brushes, the best kind for your hair that you can get is a boar bristle brush. The bristles on it are actually bristles from a boar, a pig, so they're a natural fiber. These are a kind of hair too. And what's really cool about these is if you're brushing your hair with one of these and you have oil up here, remember hair is porous, so the bristles will actually absorb some of the oil from your scalp and help carry it down the hair shaft and better distribute that oil, which is good because it helps, again, moisturize and nourish your hair. So if you can invest in one of these are the healthiest option for your hair, and also the bristles are very soft, which again makes it very gentle and it won't snag on any tangles. Alright, next we need to talk about heat styling, and this is probably the item that you very well may not want to hear, but we need to have a little bit of tough love, okay? If you want your hair to be as healthy as it can be and really grow out in the best condition, you need to stop using heat appliances on your hair. I know it's easy to think that, you know, a little bit can't do a whole lot of damage, or every once in a while can't really hurt, but you would honestly be surprised. It doesn't matter what kind of ionic, ceramic, titanium infused, oil infused technology is in your hair appliances. It doesn't really matter what kind of heat protectant you're using. It doesn't really matter what kind of deep treatment mask you're using. You're still touching very hot surfaces to your hair. The idea behind a heat protectant is just to put a barrier of product on your hair, so instead of your hair burning, the heat protectant will burn off instead. But that can happen before you're done straightening a section, and it really does no good. If you think about it this way, water boils at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, and when water boils, the moisture in it evaporates. Now, I have looked at a lot of flat irons because I know I used to straighten my hair too once upon a time, and I have noticed that on a lot of flat irons 200 degrees is usually the absolute minimum temperature, or it's in the very low end of the temperature range if you think about the little heat dial on a lot of flat irons with the various temperature settings. And let's be honest, not very many of us use our flat irons on the lowest setting. Most of us, when we use heat appliances, are using them on a temperature above 200 degrees. That's going to cause the moisture that's in your hair to evaporate just like it would if you were boiling water. That's how heat appliances suck the moisture out of your hair. And when your hair is deprived of moisture like that, it's brittle and it's weak. There are a lot of options for styling your hair that don't involve using heat. There are mousses, there are gels, there are braids, there are buns. You can curl your hair with pieces of fabric. Just experiment and see what you like. Now, I do want to talk about diffusers, which are very popular in the curly-haired community. These are a better option for your hair because if you've ever noticed how they're shaped like a trumpet, they will diffuse the air coming out of the blow dryer into a larger area. Instead of having all that hot air concentrated in a very small spot like the nozzle on a hair dryer, if it's spread out, it's gentler on your hair. Just make sure to use them on a low warm setting, or if you have more time and more patience, use them on the cold setting. I also want to talk about good heat. There are actually ways in which heat can be beneficial to your hair. It's just that you are not touching your hair to a hot surface like you would with a styling tool. Steamers. Alright, I want to talk about hair steamers. These are, I think, especially popular in the African American community because they aid with conditioning. The heat can actually open your hair cuticle, the surface of your hair, so that conditioner can better penetrate. Basically, what happens with these contraptions is that they have a reservoir of water in them that you fill, and then the machine heats that water and creates steam, which is basically kind of like a little sauna for your hair. And as I said, that heat will cause the hair cuticle to open so that conditioner can better penetrate, but because there is water involved, you're exposing your hair to moist heat rather than dry heat, which keeps it from drying out like a heat appliance would do. And then there is just what I call heat conditioning, which is basically the bargain or DIY version of a steamer, and I have done this. This is where you put conditioner in your wet hair and tie up your wet hair, usually under a shower cap, and then sit out in the sun or run over your hair with a blow dryer, something like that. Again, because there is water in your hair, the heat is going to turn that into steam, and that moisture will keep your hair from drying out. Those can be very beneficial with conditioning. On the subject of styling damage, we also need to talk about dyeing. Dye is made of chemicals, okay? I can't put it any other way. And if you've ever gone to a salon to have your color done, the people doing your color have rubber gloves on, or if you've ever used a box kit, I imagine they probably come with rubber gloves, or at least tell you that you need to use some kind of rubber gloves. In addition to keeping the dye from staining your skin, this is just to protect your skin because these chemicals are skin irritants. So if they're skin irritants, I mean, imagine what they are doing to your hair if you're putting them on your hair and then letting them soak in. If you really must color your hair, there are natural ways of doing it with henna, indigo, honey, vinegar, or lemon juice. This will spare your hair the harsh chemicals that are in dyes. However, if you're going to use a method like vinegar or citrus, just keep in mind that those can still be very drying. Next, we need to talk about hair accessories and breakage. These are a very common source of hair breakage. First off, anything with a metal on it, like a metal clasp on these old school hair ties, or a spring like on hair clips and hair barrettes. I'm sure this has happened to many of us when we put these in our hair. Some little hair finds its way into the metal spring in there and gets caught. And similarly, any kind of exposed elastic, if you have a hairband that is starting to break and stretch and has the elastic peeking out of the thread, or bare rubber bands like you would use in the kitchen, those are an absolute no-no. And then these hairbands that I have on hand, these have if you see this black spiral that's wrapped around them, that's elastic like what would be on the inside of the hair tie, and it's wrapped around the outside to provide extra grip. The problem with these materials is that they're kind of sticky, and then when you put them in your hair sticks to them, so then as you move or when you go to take them out of your hair, again, your hair kind of goes with them, and that's a very good way for your hair to break. Headbands with metal teeth, I have used these before and they end up getting tangled in your hair. Anything with metal on it, be it a spring or a clasp, you want to stay away from those. Gentler alternatives would include these hairbands that you see more often now. They just have the little bit of plastic joining the ends together, and they will not catch on your hair the way metal will. The absolute gentlest option that you can find is typically a scrunchie that's covered in fabric if you want to go old school. These are fantastic. There is absolutely no metal on them at all, no exposed elastic. They are very soft and very gentle. For something a little more fun, you can buy these little fluffy hair ties in the drugstores. I believe they're typically targeted toward kids, and they come in all sorts of cool colors. But as you can see, it's just a little bit of fluffy thread that's wrapping them, and again, the elastic inside them is very fine and none of it is exposed, so these are also very soft and gentle on your hair. An elastic hairband like this that has, again, no exposed elastic, it just has a tiny little bit of that same kind of plasticky resin that joins the ends together. Or for more detailed work, a little hair elastic like these little clear ones, is also an okay option. It just has a little seam on here somewhere where the ends join together, and the material on it is smooth rather than sticky. Basically, when it comes to picking hair accessories that are going to be gentle on your hair, you want to follow the 3 S's. Now, another source of hair breakage that you might not ordinarily think of are metal earring backings, and I'm going to drop this thing all over the place because it's so tiny. Hopefully I can show this so it'll show up. These little metal ones with the little dip in them, I think they're called butterfly backings. I used to wear those on my stud earrings, and I cannot tell you how many times I would find a little hair that was caught in there, and I could not for the life of me get it out without just pulling the hair out, and you can imagine what that did. What I wear now are these little plasticky, or these little tube backings that you can either buy separately or that often come on the backs of your earrings behind the regular backing when you buy them in stores. I save these and I keep them on hand not only as spares but as an alternative. They're not quite as secure as the metal ones, but they are smooth and soft and won't catch on your hair. Additionally, there is also this style of backing. This is also made out of metal. It doesn't have that little crevice in the backing for your hair to get caught in. These are more secure, and again, they are more smoothly shaped, and there aren't any gaps for hairs to find their way in. And then for my cartilage piercings, it turns out that these are actually pierced at a slightly larger size anyway, but I wear barbells in these. These are also very smooth and won't catch on your hair. So be mindful of what kind of closures are on your jewelry. Be careful with lobster claws on your necklaces. Make sure to tie your hair up before putting on a necklace so that the clasp won't catch on your hair. Teasing is also going to be a no-no. Another name for teasing is back combing, and if you think about it, you're taking a strand of hair and combing downward on it furiously. If you have ever teased your hair for an updo or whatnot, you will probably know that teasing turns your hair into tangle mania. It becomes what I would call a rat's nest. Lots of tiny little tangles that are virtually impossible to work through without patience and conditioner. So again, the big rule is to be gentle. There's an old saying that certainly rings true with taking care of your hair. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. In other words, it's better to take smaller steps to ensure the health of your hair before you have to cut off a lot because of damage that is irreversible. Once you damage your hair, the only way that you can fix it is to cut it off. And that, I believe, is all we have to talk about for today. I hope this helped you. I hope you maybe learned a few tips, and I hope that you will keep these in mind as you begin your hair journey. I just wanted to say thank you for taking the time to watch and for all your support, and I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye.